How's it going, everybody? I'm Driftwood. So in this quick RPG Maker MV tutorial, I'm going to talk about optional bosses and ways that you can present these optional bosses and a little method that works pretty decently. So on this map here, we're on a bridge, and basically we just have to get across this bridge. But there's this like statue right here that the player might notice, and you want to do something like putting a little animation type thing playing in the background or something. Just do something to draw the attention to the draw the player's attention to it. And you can see as we walk across, this looks very different. So just by making it very different, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So the player's less likely to miss it because it's sticking out with something different. So tip number one there is just make it look different from the surrounding of the area. But also make it fit the theme. So this is like a crystalline boss here. And it's like, so it kind of fits like this frozen rock thing or whatever. So anyway, the player just has to come across it in the main storyline. But if they were to investigate this little thing up here, then they'll get optional stuff. So you could let the player know what they're going to get for doing this competition, or not competition, doing this extra little, mini mission or optional quest or whatever. You could do it with a quest log, but then it seems like it's something that you have to do just by making an event here and throwing some icons in the event, and also making sure that the text doesn't like align perfectly to one side or the other. It sticks out a little bit, it looks different, and just the way you present the text. Now obviously I could go further with this and center the text a little bit better to match how this first line goes, but do it however you want. But basically what I'm doing is I'm letting the player know that they can get something if they defeat a guardian, if they do a fight. I'm also letting the player know what they get right here, and I'm using an icon to represent all of the optional battles. So whenever I see an optional battle, I'm going to let the player know the level of the difficulty. So if they're level 10 coming through here, they may not want to take it on yet. They know they're going to die. They don't even have to do it yet. It's an optional boss. So I'm using a symbol to represent this is a boss battle and giving the level. Also letting them know that you're going to get an item that's going to give you this thing. Then I'm showing a picture of what the boss would look like right on the screen right here with a little bit of opacity. And I'm giving the player some options. I'm defaulting to the option that they learn more information about this boss, because in Record Keeper they did this too. Right when you take on a new mission, you could look at what the boss's weaknesses are, what moves it can do, and give the player information on how to beat it. And this is very useful information, because especially on some of the harder bosses, because maybe they have a specific thing they're weak against and they absorb everything else. So it could really piss the player off if they have no way of knowing this except dying a bunch of times to it. So you don't really want to have the player have to die a bunch of times to figure it out. All you have to do is give them the option to read this information. Now they don't obviously have to learn more. They could go straight to challenge the guardian, or they could do nothing, which will walk them down. But if they decide to learn more information, give information about the fight. Let the players know what the name of the monster is, what its main element is, what it's weak against, what kind of moves it has. So this is a fight against level 40 to 50 crystal being named Archon. He's weak against dark elemental attacks. He's got more defense than magic defense, so you probably want to hit him with magical dark spells, which he'll take the most damage from. But he also does crazy abilities, right? So you want to let the player know that, hey, this creature can use area of effect abilities called whatever this. So let the player know what they can do to combat this thing. So I'm saying make sure you bring somebody to heal the party. In other words, you're going to take damage in this fight, especially if you're under leveled, and you'll probably have access to this fight way before level 40 to 50. So maybe the player wants to take it on at the party at level 25s as a challenge, so they'll know to bring a healer. Also let the player know if it has like stat debuffing moves, like when he does Shatter Swipe, it's going to be a physical melee area of effect that it's also going to lower the defense of all the party members, so they may want to do something to raise defense to counteract that. And also they'll do Clear Missile, which does a range physical damage and apply damage over time. And I'm also letting the player know the types of damage, as in your game, say to the most basic terms, like we'll say like fire and earth or whatever, and they would be opposed or whatever. So if you say this is going to be a fire creature, you want to bring the opposite, right? So, or if you have like a fire, water, and earth triad, which one is like rock, paper, scissors mode, you know, if this is fire, you want to bring the water abilities to take him down, right? So it's the same thing that's applying with just more states. So optional information right there, you notice that it looped. So we're doing a simple loop to save the player from walking up and down, up and down, up and down, over and over. So those little tiny quality of life changes can really make a difference on, you know, like how the player perceives the whole event. So by making a quick loop in there, it makes it a little bit easier to go from the information right back to, do you want to fight it or not? You know, do nothing or challenge. We'll say challenge the Guardian, and then a little good luck. Also, I'm using Galv's plugins to make the message pop up where I want. And side note, if you join the Discord server, you'll get like little 20 to 30 second video clips of where I post quick videos that only go on Discord, so you could catch those every now and then. They get snuck in there. I don't really tell anybody what you know, but I'll throw a video out there randomly, and then so if you're on the Discord server and you see me post a .mp4 file, then it's probably a 20-30 second video of like what I'm working on, or maybe what to expect in the next tutorial. So yeah, hop in the Discord if you want to check that out. So here he is, we're level 50, probably not going to beat him, but we do have some crazy combos. I just finished the Dark Knight, so that's going to be a class spotlight that happens pretty soon, but we still have to do the Red Mage, which is going to be a massive undertaking. And when we get to the Red Mage, I'm going to have some disclaimers basically saying you may not want to put this many skills on a character. It's completely unnecessary how many skills the Red Mage has, but I kind of followed a Final Fantasy XI format. But anyway, back to the tutorial thing here. We're probably going to start off absorbing his attack power. But basically, I don't really need to go through this whole fight. I just wanted to kind of get to like the tutorial on how you would present this in like an event as an optional boss, and some ideas you might want to use, or take one or two of these ideas to put into your game, to throw an optional boss out there, like a level 50 boss when the party's level 30, you know, before the end boss there's an extra Omega weapon, you know, that you could possibly fight. So I just used the Dark Knight's like super powerful combo. All of his abilities are timed, but now I think because of taking advantage of all his abilities and the 2-hour blood weapon, we're able to take care of that level 50 creature at level 50 with one character. So we beat him, we get this relic, and you know, make sure you got victory music, you got text to let the player know what they get, and then make sure you do an erase picture to get rid of that. And then you come back to it, and basically it won't really do or say anything because we've already got it. But you can still make it say, I think that's an error there, because it's supposed to say I have nothing left to offer there. But anyway, let's take a look at this event. You can put it anywhere on any map, but you want to put it somewhere the player is going to actually come across it, but not like don't lead the player to it, but bring the player, like maybe the player has to get to an area over here somewhere, you know, on the other side of the bridge on another continent or something, but they have to come across a bridge and or a mountain pass, you know, and then put this on the path, like sort of maybe give some hints. It's a little off the path, but it looks, you know, lead the player there a little bit, so they get there and they see, oh, well, what's this? I didn't know anything about this, and then it could be extra content, and it could be kind of cool. So what did I do to make all that happen? Galv plugins, layer messages, or layer graphics, or is that layer graphics? It's Galv's plugin for the pop messages, message styles. Yeah, Galv's message styles. So if you're using message styles, you can put up the text window wherever you want. I actually really like this plugin, and I'm glad it still works in 1.4. So anyway, to make that work, we just do /pop0, and it'll bring up the pop icon to put the text box near the event that it's actually creating the text. If you're doing a controller event, you'll have to use pop and then event number to make it go, or you can put in 2 coordinates and put an XY location anywhere on the map. Anyway, I have a tutorial on that. You can check that out later. Also using Yanfly's message core to show the name. This is a talking statue, so to do that we do /in, and then in brackets you put, or greater than less than symbols, you put in what you want it to say, like for the title, like old man or whatever, or traveling bard. So you do the name first and then the pop after that. I'm sure it'll work the other way. Now, when you do /I with brackets, you're referencing your icon set. So by putting in /I and then a number in brackets, you're letting the player have some pictures inside their text. So it's not just a wall of text. It's got some graphical content to it so that they can see that this artifact has a symbol. And this actually reflects what the item looks like. You get an item that has this icon that actually gives this limit burst, and this limit burst has that icon. So I'm giving the icons of the item they're going to get and the skill that equipment is going to unlock when they wear it. Also using one icon to represent an optional battle, just like this is just something that's going to be reoccurring. So every time they see this symbol, they're going to know, oh, that's a battle. So you can have side content that's not always a battle. Maybe it's a riddle or something, but maybe you would have a different icon representing all your riddles. So I'm using this icon to represent all of the battles, the optional battles. And then you ask the player if they want to fight it. Are you a brave adventurer? And let the player know the difficulty or approximately the level of the enemy. You can use like star ratings, you can use level ratings, you can use like very easy, normal, very difficult, or difficult, like different keywords to represent how hard it should be. But I think just going with numbers will be more representative of helpful information. So that's the first opening line. Then we're going to open up a loop. So you just start a loop and then you put in a show picture right at the top of that loop. Show picture is easy. Copy paste the file into your pictures folders of your img/pictures folder there, and then you can reference that picture by giving it a number. In MV, you have to assign every picture you want to display as a number so that the engine can tag that picture with a number and then reference that number instead of that actual picture, because you could actually probably show multiple of the same picture, just tagging them as different numbers, so you can have different blend modes and make it look pretty crazy. So anyway, we're showing this picture, and I'm making the opacity 200. So by 255, it's going to be completely see-through, and we won't be able to see it at, we won't be able to. I'm sorry. 255 will be completely opaque, which means it has no see-through property. 255 is full opacity. It's solid. But if you want to be able to see the map kind of behind it, you drop the opacity down. You can also change the blend mode if you want to make it look different. Completely up to you. You can scale it up and scale it down to make it look bigger if it's a small little chicken, but it's supposed to be a big hard boss or whatever. You can scale this up right there to match the note tag on the enemy that scales the sprite itself. So you can use Yanfly's animated SV enemies and use scale sprite and match that. So actually, if I want this to be more representative of the size, I would scale this to 90%. So I could say 90% width and 90% height, since when you encounter him in battle, he's going to actually be 90% of the size that's shown on the screen. Now, when you decide where you want the position, you can specifically say where you want it at any point, and I like this because then you can make it look good on where the map is. Now, I've chose 300, 300, and how it works is it goes X to Y. X is the first one that goes from left to right. 0 is all the way on the left, and then your maximum resolution, in my case, 1280, is all the way on the right. And then the Y-axis goes from the top to the bottom. 0 is on the top, and your max Y resolution is on the bottom. So in my case, 720. So if I wanted to put it at the very top, 0, 0, it would be right there. Now this also goes into the origin of the picture. So if we look at this picture, we can see that the origin is set to the upper left. So if I say 0, 0, it's going to start the picture right here and draw it completely all the way down. So if I were to say center and do 0, 0, then it would only show like the bottom right half of that picture, because it would start it at 0, 0, but the other half will be cut off. So you want the center to be upper left if you're going to do 0, 0. But I've decided to keep it upper left and just change the X and Y. So I've got 300 pixels across and 300 pixels down to where it starts, and then it draws it down from the top left to the bottom right. This is X1, Y1, this is X2, Y2, and it draws it like that depending on the size of the picture. So pretty simple how you would do that, and yeah, that's it. We're assigning a picture number 10. Then what we're going to do is show choices, and then you want to default to 1 and cancel on 3 or 4 or 5 or however many different options you want to give. 3 options works best. because you get one to say, here's information. You get the second one to say, take the fight. And you get the third one to say, not right now, because that makes it pretty simple. Default to the one where they say, look at the information. That way, if the player's spamming enter, they don't accidentally get into a battle that they weren't prepared for. So if they accidentally hit the wrong button, they just get a couple of informational text, and then they loop back into this thing again. So the worst case is they have to press enter 2 times instead of they have to possibly die in a fight. Now, when you die in this optional battle, I've given the option of can lose and can escape, but that's up to you. Maybe you want this optional boss to be like, if you lose, you die, the game over. It's up to you how you want to do it. So anyway, if you lose, you die, you definitely want to make sure that this one says learn more information about the battle, and the second one say challenge, the third one it does nothing. So in the first instance, you're going to give text to let the player know, or pictures to let the player know, this is what you're fighting, this is the moves it does, this is what it's strong against, this is what it's weak against, use this strategy. Give the player all the tools they need to know on how to beat this optional boss. They'll thank you for it by playing your game more. And you'll keep them engaged because now they can work a strategy out based on what they already know. You have to give the player information in order. If Record Keeper didn't give ways to beat all of their mini bosses, it would be a nightmare trying to figure out how to master these fights because you have to do certain conditions to get the best rewards. So you can do that in this sort of thing as well by using Yanfly's extra enemy loot. You can specify extra loot drops. I forgot the name of it. Man, there's like so many plugins now. But basically, you can assign special conditions like you have to hit this enemy with a fire skill in order to get the flame tongue to drop or whatever. You know what I mean? So you can let the player know those things inside this text. You don't have to give away all the information. You can say to get the special loot drop, and you can leave as a mystery. You must kill this enemy with fire, or you must at least use fire on this enemy, or whatever. And then when the player does that in the event drop conditions, you just set it up so if this element rate was used, then add this extra chance to drop 100% or 50% or whatever. So give the player all the information and specifics on how to take full advantage of this optional boss. You want to use as many things as you can to make it look like less boring text, like use a name pop-up. Make sure that you're popping it up so that it doesn't just look at like a normal default text all the way across when it's like 2 lines or whatever. Use Galv's plugin to pop the message out somewhere, or HeManWorks has other plugins for the text too. Let the player know the level. Use colors on the names of the creatures. Just arbitrarily make up a color scheme and stick to the scheme. When you call this all of this boss like by a red color, then constantly reference those bosses as a red color so that people can find a consistency and it doesn't just look like Rainbow Road randomness going on here. It's just pick a random color, but then stick with that random color. So every time I reference Archon, I'm just going to say color 9. Then I'm going to also let the player know what element it's weak against, but I'm also going to specify the icon. You could even use a color code on the dark element. You could go further and say you get this icon, and then you even have a color for whatever you want it to be. And when you reference color, remember how it works is when you do /C and then in bracket you pick a color between 1 and 32 or however many is in your icon set.png, or not icon set, your system.png, whatever is somewhere in your systems folder. You'll see it's the one that does your themes. And your windows as well. I think it's window.png. Anyway, it'll color everything after that code until you do /C0 or you do just /C. So basically, if I just want to color code Archon, I just go like that, and then I type in what I want to color code, and then I do that. Remember, no spaces are needed because they will pick up extra spaces. So when I want to reference, I see a little problem there. Boom. When I want to reference an icon, I'm going to go ahead and put the icon right like that with no space after it, straight up to dark, so it shows the icon and the dark element right after that. Also, try to be consistent. If you give your elements, like say your dark elements, in your types of your database a specific icon, then you want to reference that specific icon for consistency in your game, and it'll help the player quickly recognize without having to read everything. They can see pictures, boom, 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 and quickly get the information they need without reading a whole block of text. It's a little bit of user friendliness that you can put into the game. Also, if you're going to give special names for your stats, kind of give the player a hint of what those names, if you're going to use like your psychic ability, well, it's probably magic attack, right? But it could be something else. But when I do this, I say with slightly higher defense, which I label that as vitality. So some games vitality might be max HP, right? So I'm saying in my game vitality is high is defense. Magic defense, boom, right there. I'm actually calling this willpower. So that's what I would reference that as. And then we would finally end it with saying color coding specific things, like we know that his defense is higher than his magic defense, so we want to give the player another color code hit, use magic on him, because it's going to do a lot more damage than trying to bash on him. So I'm color coding magical right here, and in the second one I'm keeping that same consistency, saying magical is color 13. And then I reference the spells he has. And when you tell the player what spells he has, you also might want to include the icon for them. So when it pops up quick in combat, this is just extra stuff, right? Use icons is basically what I'm getting to. Give the player as much information as they need, and make it look and feel good to go through it. The next thing we're going to do is say when you challenge him, you can change the battle background music to you don't want your optional boss fights to have the same battle music as your regular enemy trash mobs, right? Or maybe not even the same battle music as your regular bosses. Maybe the optional bosses get special battle background music, or battle music, or maybe each one even has their own theme if you want to go overboard with it. But anyway, changing the battle background music for when they fight the boss is a great idea. Also, remember to change that back before you encounter the party again, so every map can have an erase event that changes the background music or whatever. Yes, so then you show the text saying good luck or whatever. You don't actually have to do that. But why not, right? Now I've set conditions to let the player win, lose, or run away. So you need to define everything that happens. When they win, well, they get a reward, say, congratulations, and here's what you've got. Show an animation, make it look flashy, and then give them the item they got. Give them some fanfare. If they did something good, reward them with the audio and a visual cue that they did something. We get animation, sound effects, music effects, whatever you want to do to make the game more features, it feels more lively. So then we also do a text letting the player know what they got with the icon for it and what that would do for them. Then we turn self-switch A on to go to the next page, but we also have to do a break loop, because remember we started a loop. All of this is still in the loop. So if we escape, then we say better luck next time, and we break the loop so it doesn't go back to. And if they die, say better luck next time, or whatever. Don't be too harsh to your players, and we break the loop. You don't need to make Dark Souls. There's enough Dark Souls games out there. But if your game is trying to do the Dark Souls, here's your opportunity to say you are unworthy, peasant, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Break the loop on every possible exit that would happen. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in this endlessly. So remember, break loops you have to use whenever you are doing a loop. So when they say nothing, you also need to do a break loop, but since this is going to be at a specific location, you're going to do a move event to move the player down. So when they say do nothing, you're going to forcefully move them. That way, if they accidentally hit it, they don't have to walk down to walk back up to start it again. All they have to do is walk up, because they said do nothing. You automatically took that initiative to say, well, then you don't need to be standing in this spot. Move event on this player, move down. When you do a move event, though, always click skip if cannot move, unless you've carefully choreographed it. That way you don't lock the game. Because if I were to say move left and I don't have skip if cannot move, well, the player's standing here. He can't move left because there's a solid object there, as stated by my Yanfly region restrictions. Even if it's 0 on the icon set, if you region restriction, it will be blocked off, which will cause the game to lock up. If it cannot move and it cannot skip, you're in an endless stuck spot, and you literally have to Alt F4 this, or F5 to restart, right? So skip if cannot move when you do move events on any event. Break the loop there. Then we end this whole condition, right? And then the loop ends, right? So Then, after the loop ends, you erase the picture at the very bottom. This is going to make sure that you actually only need one erased picture. You could move this erased picture and put it here, and put it here, and put it here, and put it here, but that's redundancy, and this bad programming, bad design if you have to use a lot of redundancy. So move stuff down, and as much as you can, and use it, like if you can get away with using it one time, you don't need to put it in there 4 times. So erase picture at the very bottom gets rid of it no matter what outcome happens. This will run and erase that picture 10, which we called that right there. Boom. So that's basically it. On page 2, it's simple. All it does on page 2 is has a condition to see if self switch A is on, and the only time self switch A is going to be turned on is when you've completed it. You've got the reward, you've got the fanfare, you've got the sound effects, the flashiness, and the item, right? Or the reward. This one is also going to be action button, but what this one is going to do is just show the player you already beat it, you know, and congratulations. Or, you know, I have nothing, there's nothing left here. You've already done it. But as an optional thing, you can say, oh, remember, this is where you got so-and-so item, which is kind of cool for later on. If they do a second playthrough, if your game has a lot of replayability, they're going to see this and be like, oh, yeah, okay, this was a great, you know, maybe when they got it the first time, they didn't realize, but later on, half an hour later, they started using the item that they got, and they're like, whoa, this is pretty awesome. If I do this game again, I want to make sure I have this item, or whatever, you know. So just an optional thing, say, hey, remember, you already got everything here, but remember, this is where you got this item, and so do the icon and let them know where they got this item, and so forth, so on. Whatever optional stuff you want it to say right here. Also, I need to have the same as characters. That's why I didn't play, because this is not this is going to be an obstruction, so we can access it from any side of this event if it's same as character, but if it's below, we have to be standing on it, which we'll never be able to because it's a solid object. And it's anyway, so that's why it didn't work. But if now we've changed it from below to same as character, it will be we'll be notified that we've already beat it. But that's basically it. It went on a little bit longer than I thought. But optional battles, it's kind of a cool thing to add to your game. Hopefully you guys enjoy this quick tutorial on some ideas you could use to make an optional battle in your game. You want to put it in the player's, not like an obstruction in the player's way, but like in a location that the player will see before they're able to beat it, right? You want to put a challenge in front of the player that's optional, but it's not good. You don't want to, like, if the player's level 30, you don't want to put an optional level 20 boss in that in the way of the player. Because it's just a stomp. You want to put a level 30, 40, 50 boss optional in the way of the player when he's level 30. That way he's got something to strive for, or he or she's got something to strive for, right? There's a challenge. There's something that has got this player beat. If it's just making the game too easy, well, what about this fight? Did you beat this fight? Did you get this item? You know, well, now you have something to do. You've got the player's got incentive and motive to keep playing your game. They can beat the game, right? The story, the end boss, they can already beat it, but there's a few optional things that they still haven't been able to beat, right? So there's that there too. To keep the player playing your game and extend playtime, and not falsely inflate playtime by just making it grindy. You know what I mean? This is just optional stuff that the player can intrinsically desire to do. You know, they want to do it because they want to keep playing, because they want to get stronger, because there's a boss that they haven't beaten yet. Yeah, they could beat the game, but that arena system or that optional boss fight has still got them beat, and they want to say they fully completed it, right? Also, if you want to do optional bosses like this, think about doing achievement systems to even further reward the player by giving them an achievement, you know, even if it's only an in-game achievement or whatever. If you're doing it on Steam, you could do Steam achievements, Steam cards and stuff. But just some ideas for you guys. Hopefully you guys like this tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got RPGMMV tutorials. I do first impression videos. I play people's video games, QA testing, lots of feedback. I interact with everybody every day on Discord, and we're always working together to come up with crazy ideas for tutorials and bosses and stuff. And I'd love to have you guys in the Discord. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. I love you guys. We'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.